All right. Hello, hello. Thank you, everybody, for catching this video. I'm excited to have friend and fellow business owner, Mr. Mark Lawrence, on with us today. We're talking about technology strategies for small businesses and people, given our current virtual reality and the best ways to utilize technology in this virtual world. For those of you that are watching for the first time, I'm Stephanie Lomax, a HR strategist with HRPro4You, which is an HR consulting firm that helps businesses to embrace HR. So I'm ready to dive in and get some of this expertise, this technology expertise from Mr. Lawrence. And Mark is the founder and managing partner of Inncuvate, which is, I will let him tell you exactly what that is, a consulting firm that's based here in the metropolitan area, Maryland, DC metropolitan area. So Mark, why don't you go ahead and do a quick intro for everyone, let them know all about Inncuvate and what you guys do.
All right, thanks. Thanks for having me, Stephanie, and thanks.
Yeah.
Welcome all the people out there that'll get this virtually. So basically, Inncuvate is a firm, a professional services firm that focuses on supporting entrepreneurs and entrepreneur support organizations. So what does that mean? As evident as this pandemic, we see that, there's going to be jobs displaced, there's going to be people looking for different means of work, and we need more entrepreneurs, right? So how do we de-risk and take a systematic view of how entrepreneurs start, scale, and exit businesses? And how do we do it in this technology era? So basically what our tagline is that innovation is calculated, and there's certain steps and things you can do to convene and increase the rate of success for entrepreneurs. A lot of our work has been real estate based, creating spaces that for entrepreneurs to convene, to connect. We create what we call these innovation hubs, improving co-working and building sense of community around accelerators, and just having all the right resources for what I call, there's two sides, small businesses and then what we call innovation-driven enterprises, which are people that are taking a piece of technology, getting customers, scaling, selling it, and hopefully doing it again. So I like to say that we focus on creating more serial entrepreneurs, but especially in communities that need them most.
Excellent, excellent. All right. That's a lot. That's great. I mean, and I think that it is something that's needed. I know that Inncuvate is a combination of innovation and
incubation.
What?
So what
Incubation.
so the whole idea was, how did I create an anagram that creates this? Because innovation is this amorphous thing. Like we use that word like engineer, but we can't really touch and feel it. We can see it when we experience it and when it's in a space. So the whole idea is how do you create these environments or these communities, whether physical, now virtual, that this can occur?
Got it. Got it. And there's some of these spaces. Talk a little bit about some of the spaces that you've done in this area, because I know there's several that you've worked on creating these hub type spaces here.
All right. So a couple projects I'll talk about. So the one that's dear and near to heart is really the innovation hub at Prince George's Community College. So if you look at a community, right, community colleges they have a lot of assets, they have a lot of resources. So the whole idea there is how do you open that up to innovators and entrepreneurs, giving them access to it? Because a lot of community colleges were seen as this place like pre-college, but that perception has always been misfounded and misled. Mm-hmm. And it's really a place where, if I want to get a skill and I want to go, we assume education is this serial thing, but really community colleges are this place where I learn a skill, I practice it, I learn a skill, I practice it, or I get a skill set, or I want to try something new. And the age ranges of people that attend community colleges vary. So the whole premise there was, what if we could put an infrastructure, set a space where we could use that community college infrastructure to create more entrepreneurs? So that's what it is. So to start by redesigning a space, but also building a sense of community between businesses, entrepreneurs, faculty, and administration, and local county government, to create more what we call product-based enterprises. So that's one project. Another project in another county we worked on was helping a locally known innovator called 1776 Incubation Space come to Maryland. So what we did, we partnered with the building owner there to redevelop 15,000 square feet and make it available for entrepreneurs. Another project, which will pick up during, I guess, once the pandemic's over, is what we call Innovation District. So innovation spaces are small, but districts are whole multiple acre communities where you get large corporate partners like Johnson and Johnson, Rolls-Royce, and Cerner to really intentionally connect and get with entrepreneurs.
Okay. And so the theme that I'm hearing a lot, which I think is awesome too, is that it really brings in community also. So it's not, it takes all those individual pieces, but it's kind of wrapped inside of a community, which is amazing because we need to have more of those collaborative efforts that take into consideration all of those individual pieces, which I think is amazing. So let's talk a little bit about kind of what's happening just in the world of technology right now. What are you seeing like in terms of trends with technology now that so many people are virtual?
Right. So even before the whole idea of what we're going through now, we were in the midst of a shift, right? What we're calling, every time there's a big change in technology, it's called like an industrial revolution, right? To get historic, we went from factories to production. The automobile was a big industrial revolution shift where people started transforming communities. Highways and road infrastructure was done. We went to a lot of factory work, and then we had this big IT, information technology revolution.
Right.
Where we're at right now, at a broader sense, is what we're calling the fourth industrial revolution, and that's where IT is sort of on steroids. It's things like automatic, or I guess artificial intelligence. There's things called robotics. We're starting to interact with technology a different way. Like just to give you an example of people that might not know of, right? There's these things called Alexa, Siri, and Corona, right? So now we're talking to our technology and we're just doing it like it's natural, right? Like my kids,
right.
They're asking Siri questions where we used to interact. So I think it's subtly coming upon us. And as we go virtual, you're going to see that accelerate, right? There's these smart machines and these robotic type of things that are making our life easier, like doorbells. Like I can look at my phone and see who's ringing my doorbell even when I'm not.
Yeah.
So we're in the midst of the shift and we just don't realize that it's happening. Of course, there's cybersecurity concerns, there's big brother type of things, but we're at that next major shift on how we're going to interact with technology differently.
Yeah, yeah. And so I was talking with a motivational speaker earlier this week, and we were talking about mind shift and how, you have to change your mindset in order to, you make a decision to move from one thing to the next. So there's a little bit of that even with dealing with shifting to technology because like I still have a house phone. I don't know why, because it's unplugged. It's not even ringing at this point because it rings so much all the time. But it's that, those creature comforts that we are accustomed to, and technology now is kind of pushing us, nudging us in a direction where we're going to lose those creature comforts, or they'll become new creature comforts. So if we can't see who's at our door, we're going to be having a problem. Like it's going to be a problem. I can't see who's ringing my doorbell.
Right. And if just to one point there, because I still have a house phone too, right? And the whole idea is back to your mindset thing, is that we know the house phone will ring, right? We know that proven technology, no matter power outage or anything, that system is designed to be survivable. If we had confidence in the battery life of our cell phones and other things,
right,
we would get rid of their house phone, right? But it's still some necessary need. But as battery technology improves and how we interact with things differently, that trust and that mindset will shift that you relate. Because you're right, I have a house, I never answer it. If you want me, call me on my cell phone. But
right,
in case there's a power outage or something else, I know that's a reliable source of communication.
That's right. That's right. And the companies that provide the services know it too, because it's way cheaper to have two services, internet and phone, than it is to just have internet. It doesn't even make any sense to just have internet really, because it's a lot more expensive, and they know that. They're capitalizing on that, right? So, so that whole, kind of moving us into the direction of being more comfortable with interacting with technology more so than we probably ever have before is definitely, a key thing. And I think there can be efficiencies kind of built into doing that as well. We can use a lot of that stuff to our advantage, whether we're talking about entrepreneurship and business, or where we're talking about how we just interact with one another in general. Let's talk a little bit about some of those tools. So we were talking about technology and efficiency. What are you seeing that small businesses are doing more of than they had in the past, given this fourth industrial revolution as it relates to IT?
Well, I think we're on a prime example of it right now, right? So a lot more small businesses or just people in general are using video conferencing software.
Yeah.
Using face-to-face interaction to sort of build community. Because back to the phone example, I like it because I've studied and I grew up in telecom. We were used to talking and just having a voice conversation, right? I set some signals in, you receive it. Technology snuck in, and now there's this thing called FaceTime, right? So automatically, people are just FaceTiming each other and having these quick video conversations that are enabled by the internet, enabled by bandwidth, enabled of being affordable, that we're seeing the person, and there's different things like that. I think you're going to see more and more and more of that. But also there's these other type of tools, right? So the primary tool for technology for business is email, right?
Yeah.
Good or bad. But I'll just say for one, I'm horrible at email because again, unless I have a screen that is as big as my wall or bigger than and you get more than, 20, 30 emails an hour, you're going to miss something because it's going to scroll through and your day's going to go and you have to go back at night, scroll back, see what you missed. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm delaying. So there's these collaboration tools real time that, you used to have in large corporate environments only, but now you're having them online. So you have things like Slack, and I'm not endorsing any of these products so they don't pay me, but I'll just
right.
talk in general. Teams, Microsoft Teams, but they're creating this way that to get out of email, I'll send you an email if I, have a paragraph or something that I need you to respond to later. But for instantaneous communication, which is the world we live in, there's all these other tools that are cropping up where I can either, ignite a call with you, initiate a call with you. I can send you a document for you to mark up, or we can collaborate and work on a document at the same time rather than sending it back and forth in email. And it's been here for a while. I'll say it's been here for a while because, I've seen it, but pandemics and, issues and crisis always makes us shift. And that's what we're seeing. So I spend most of my day on calls like this or on a Slack, and we're just communicating, interacting, and getting work done. Whereas the old day was like I'd travel, I would go to a meeting, we would meet, we would discuss what we want to contribute. I would go away, I would send you a document. Right now, that's all instantaneously.
Yeah. And I would imagine too, from a cost perspective, while a lot of these tools are, they have varying levels of platform. So you can do a lot of these things that are no cost at all. But then as you get larger, like with enterprises and things like that, they have enterprise level things that have larger features to just increase the efficiency even more, the productivity even more. But there's a lot of opportunity also in terms of a cost savings, because now, like you just said, travel requires gas or a train ticket or a plane ticket, overhead for businesses, because now you've got buildings that people are not necessarily occupying as much. So businesses, and particularly business owners, are finding out that when they thought they couldn't be virtual, they're finding out they really can be virtual. And it just is adjustments that you have to make, like these use of technology tools and platforms that provide that same level of efficiency and face-to-face, like we're doing now, interaction. So it's not just phone and email. So it's electronic, but it's more high-touch electronic, I guess, than just email or telephone, where you can't see anybody or really gauge people's interaction. I remember a long time ago, probably right after I graduated from undergrad, somebody reminded me that email doesn't have any emotions. So when you send stuff to people, they can interpret it a lot of different ways. Whereas if you were talking to them in person and said the same exact thing, they probably would get a better understanding of exactly what you mean. So now we know all caps means that somebody's yelling.
Right. And to that point, Stephanie, right? And again, see how we adapt, right? So email didn't have any sort of personality or soul to it. So they created this thing called emoticons, right? that
Yep.
people use now. They use it socially, but it's being used more in business communication as well. There's certain abbreviations, there's sort of
Yeah.
expressions that you use when you know you're typing a sensitive email. There's actually software that sits out there and looks at the tones of your email now. And I forget. Yeah, I think it's called Grammarly. And again, not endorsing it, but
Yep.
look at your email and say this is a formal email. It'll tell you the tone. It'll give you little visual clues so you're aware of it before you hit send.
Yeah. Yeah. And you get that grammar straight too.
You get that grammar straight. This email is being written with a very aggressive tone, right? You really need
Right.
to address it, right? So yes, and again, it's the funny thing is we just don't realize it, right? Because I spend a lot of time talking about technology, but really I talk about innovation and how people interact with technology, because that's the funny side of it, or the human side of it, where this whole idea, right? Take everything else off the table. Businesses are about money, but it's really about time, right? So I'll give you like a corny example, like going back and forth to schedule a meeting. Steffi, I need to talk to you. Can you send me some times you're available? You'll send some
Mm-hmm.
times I'm available. Oh, do those work with me? I'll send back. Well, how about this one? So now there's tools that come in as a, hey, I don't want to share my calendar because I want you to know this, but here's all the times that I'm available. You pick a time, and that reduces it. So it's really a time
Yeah.
saving, and that equates to bottom line revenue, especially for small business.
Yeah. Yeah. And I am definitely guilty of that one. The back, I am, and I have a tool to use. It's crazy. So,
Right, but
but I
again, you
think,
don't trust it is comfortable. You still want to have that
yeah,
interaction. Do you really want to meet with? And it's a social contract. Do you really want to meet with me? If you,
yeah,
I mean, sometimes you're available, rather than me just go ahead and accessing your calendar, hoping you accept. Right. So there's
yeah,
psychological factors of the technology that are more, I guess, impactful than the actual technology. Because a lot of these technologies have been around for years. They just haven't been adopted.
right, right. Yeah, I have to. I think the one thing that I said I was going to be better about in terms of efficiency in meetings, or scheduling meetings, was that on Sundays I was going to update this calendar tool that I use. Um, but I think in my mind, like scheduling something like this, I don't have set up
Right.
on the calendar. I have like client appointments that I set up on the calendar based on whether we're doing like an actual consultation or whether we're doing like an intro meeting. I have those set up, but I just had a revelation that I probably should be using it for other stuff, as well. And I don't. I think the other piece of it is there's, like you said, it's a psychological and human touch piece, that you don't want to just send somebody a link to your calendar without having had a conversation, not having a conversation, but without that same, yeah,
Right.
it means something to talk to somebody and make sure, and not seem like it's just kind of cold.
Right. And again, I've been an entrepreneur for a while, right? And I've gone to all the seminars, listened to all the productivity hacks, and we just don't do it, right? Because ideally, if you plan your day right, from 8 to 10, I do free consultations, right? From 10
Right.
to 2, I work on my core work. And then from 4 to 5, like, we're just not, I know I'm not that disciplined to take advantage of
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you really were, you could get more productivity out of your day. Whereas most of our days are interrupt driven, right?
Yes.
It is, and it's just nature. So it's either we get comfortable, and we're comfortable with that. But imagine if we were to structure our days and be like, look, some people do it well, right? They either address emails in the beginning of the day or the end of the day, but the rest of us, we're just sitting there and responding to things as they come.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually talked to Crystal Richards, who's a project management expert. We talked about that too, especially now that we're forced, everybody's at home, interruptions are all over the place. And for those of us that are homeschooling, it's like, oh my God, I got to stop this, I got to start that, all that. And it is, and you're working now like 12 and 13 hours a day because you've got all these interruptions that create a barrier for you to really be as productive as you potentially could be. So, yeah, I'm gonna work on that calendar thing.
And then another thing too, right? It is, but another idea too that we're seeing with this pandemic and how it relates to technology, and I know this is non-technical either, but the workforce entrepreneur has always been judged by time. I'm spending this many hours on a certain task, a certain client, a certain thing.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing now with this whole shift is that it's the outcome, right? So I'm spending
Correct.
time on delivering an outcome. It may take you 2 hours, it may take me 12, but I'm focused on the outcome because I can't clock in and say I'm reporting to a client site unless I spend a amount of time with you. I'm billing you for my time. Whereas no, I'm just going to bill you based on what I deliver to you now. And the human technology interaction is adjusting to get comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that a lot, and it is difficult. I think business owners in particular are having, that's probably one of the biggest things for businesses that said we can't be virtual because I need to know what they're doing every minute of the day. They don't anyway, by the way, but I mean, now that they can't see them, say, well, are you working 8 hours a day? Well, no. Again, we need to be focused on what the delivery is because now people are having to balance a whole bunch of stuff, as well. So if the deadline is X, then you have to have the deliverable by X, and you have to trust that I've done the work in order to get you the deliverable. Now, if I don't get the deliverable done, that's a different conversation. But yeah, utilizing time versus money.
Yeah, time versus money.
Comparison.
Right, and that's the other thing. Small businesses and every time I talk, we have this conversation, right? So we price our jobs and our engagement based on hours, right?
Yeah.
When we're good at stuff, the stuff we're good at, we may make a profit, but the stuff we're not good at, we take losses, right? So like for me, if I were to price a website development job, right? And I know enough about technology and coding, but I would take a loss on that because I would spend so much time trying to go the website right rather than someone that does web development.
Right.
Look, this is how much it costs. They can probably be finished because they have templates, they have tools, they have hacks they've developed, so they can deliver more of that. So when I say, when I talk to business owners, I was like, look, you don't have to know all of technology, right? You have to know the pieces that make your business run more efficiently, more smoothly, and what you can recreate. And then you partner with other folks that have the other different skills so that you can be more cost competitive, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the risk we always do as entrepreneurs is trying to do everything. And I get it. There's cost concerns, there's staffing, there's things like that. But like you and I have been able to do, if we create this federated network of people with skills, we have this virtual sort of company that we can go out and survive with.
Yeah. And it is, that the trusting factor, and hopefully technology helps to kind of undergird that, as a business owner in particular, utilizing those things that are going to help us to help our team in general, or even the people that we're collaborating with. If they're not employees, but they're, strategic business partners, anything that we can do to help undergird that productivity with technology makes it that much easier. And you're right. I tell people all the time too. I'm like, look, I'm a 9 or a 10 in several parts of HR. There are definitely parts of HR where I'm a 6 or a 5. You don't want me doing that. So I'll go find, someone that can do that and give you the quality product or the quality result rather, or the quality service that you are looking for, as opposed to me spending the time doing it, taking forever, and maybe not getting as great of a product or service out to you anyway. So yeah, those are good. Those are all good points. Let's talk a little bit about some strategies that small businesses can use to try to implement these things. Like, what types of things should businesses, in particular small businesses, be looking to do if they are at a point or are in a situation like now where they've got to start implementing these technological resources?
Right. So the first thing I would say is you got to start with your processes, right? So what process are you trying to automate, make more efficient, or scale, right? Because there's a ton of technologies out there, and you get technology paralysis, right? I'll look at, and a lot of them offer free versions, so you try different things, right? But I think if you look at the process and the key inputs and outputs of the process, that will help you narrow down sort of some of your technology selections. And then you really got to look at and it's a competitive advantage for like the people that provide the technology, but what are the majority of people using, right? So
Mhm.
let's go the Microsoft Office versus Google debate now, right? So
Okay.
I'm a small business, and I want a word processing, I want a PowerPoint, I want a productivity package, and I'm interfacing with government clients, right? More than likely, I'm going to be on Microsoft Office. It's made for
Sure.
clients using, right? But
Right.
if I'm in the innovation space, more agile, there's Google, and there's conversions that you can go back and forth, but you really want to spend less time having to translate and fix technology to meet your clients than looking at just at a broader level what sort of things will appeal, what's easy to use, what's easy for them to interface, and you adopt that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it stifles innovation, but it's a hack that makes your productivity easier, and people don't really recognize that sometimes. And I get it,
Okay.
there's cost factors involved, but the investment in time you pay for that technology, right, will save you time, and you can recoup it when you're doing business with your clients. And
Yeah.
because I did that as well. I came from a consulting world where everyone used Microsoft Office. I got in the startup world. It's cool and exciting to have a Mac and use Google Suites. But, when people are asking for different attachments, converting, it's just,
Yeah.
so I say start with process, right? The first part. And then
Okay.
look at your customer side and see what they're using, right? And then
Okay.
adapt and fit into that workflow, because that's easier. And then everything else is add on look and feel and what you're comfortable with. So those are the first sort of two strategies or things I would say that folks should look at.
Okay. All right. And then, so it's possible that a small business, so let's say they're innovative, right? But their client base is not necessarily innovative. So they could use multiple things. They could use something internally for their team that helps them to be more efficient and productive internally. That's more innovative. But when they're talking about delivering to the client, they're using something that the client is more comfortable with and is, has done before and what they're using, so that it's not that whole having to convert type situation. Okay. All right.
It's a step, like you said. So it's that extra step to say, looking at the process, this is what we use and this is what we're comfortable with, but we know this is our client use. So somewhere in that step, there has to be translating documents, delivery, program, or interactions that you can make. And we often miss that out. And that's why I say you got to look at the process first.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. What are you seeing as some of the newer, and I know again this isn't an endorsement conversation, but what types of tools are you seeing out there, innovative wise, that are coming to the forefront for businesses or individual entrepreneurs, like particularly like when you're setting up these spaces that you've set up, the innovation spaces, what types of things are being included in those spaces, and what do you think are some of the coolest, newest things that are out there for businesses and entrepreneurs?
Well, I don't know if it's new, but I would say some of the coolest things, right? So a lot of things that small businesses struggle with, you and I struggle with, like customer relationship management, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
right? So there's been a platform that's been around for a while, and again, no endorsement, called HubSpot, right? And a lot of it is free, but it is like a language in itself, right? So I can technically have my website, put a widget that'll go to HubSpot, and every time someone interacts with my website, they go into a database and they can get a notice, right? And again, some of it is like spooky Big Brother-ish, but it is right. So someone can visit my website, I will capture their email, and I will know based on the page they search or where they spend time what they might be interested in, and I can send them a follow-up to try to schedule a call, right? A lot of the there's event management software now, like even virtual event software now that's coming out where, we're having these online events where it's like a room, video, production, questions, and information. So a lot of these online learning platforms that were traditionally in education are being used for business as well. So Blackboard, the big education powerhouse has this thing called Collaborate. Microsoft, right, it's rolling out its Teams, its Sway, all these different workflow products that are trying to make lives easier. And then you have the upstarts like the Slacks, the Audible, the Asana, which is project management software that's online. So we don't all have to be in the same company, but I can assign you a task and manage it on a cloud solution, right? So we're seeing a lot of these traditional platforms that were made for enterprises, large companies, being made for small companies, shared business, right? There's a lot of graphic design sort of software. Like everyone doesn't have to be a graphic designer now. There's these
Yeah.
Adobe where, you know, I'm horrible in Photoshop, but I know how to use Adobe Spark, for instance, where it just plugs and play graphics. It gives me the fonts, and I can put out media that I need to make my deliverables look slick. So
Yeah.
you're seeing all these what I call efficiency type of tools where you don't need the hardcore deep technical expertise, but you
Mhm.
can use them to really give your business a professional look and feel.
Yeah. So I use Canva a
Yep.
lot for like deliverable because again, I think I'm creative and artsy fartsy, but I'm not when I see my stuff at the end compared to other people's. I'm like, yeah, I should probably stop doing it. Um, but yeah, I like utilizing that. And there's another one that I found on Facebook that I absolutely love. It gives you like these, it was an advertisement, a sponsored ad. It gives you all these templates that are in PowerPoint. And let's say you need to create an agenda. It gives you 20 different ways to create an agenda. That's all these different graphics in it. And it is really cool and inexpensive to use, but it just makes things look so much better. And it saves a lot of time as well when you're trying to, you know, put something together to deliver, whether it's a presentation or it's just, you know, a dashboard, for example, that you need to put together. It's got all these really cool tools in there as well. It's called Infographia is the name of
Yes,
it.
infographic, Canva's good. And again, even in
Yeah.
PowerPoint now, when you do a slide and you start a presentation, it gives you this, there's a tab up that can come up and give you design ideas, right? I was just working
Yeah.
right now. So it looks at what you're trying to present and gives you visualization ideas, which again, we're not paying attention to. But if you think about
Right.
it on the surface, that's actually very revolutionary.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're trying to present, and the technology is figuring out the best way for you to visualize it. And you just
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. That's awesome. Well, what last minute advice do you have for folks? Businesses that are, you know, small businesses, solopreneurs, as it relates to technology and innovation. What
Well, I
advice
just
would
say
you give them?
stay the course. Like it's evolving. I know it seems like it's hard times and it's hard. Like we're all trying to figure out. And I hate using the word new normal. I'll
Me too.
just say paradigm. I would just say accelerated paradigm shift, right? Because new normal means like, hey, things weren't normal and it's catastrophic. But look at the new paradigm shift and really how you can do things more efficiently, how you can collaborate, and really just be opening up to try new things because you know the way we've been working has worked, but it was shifting. It was already doing that, but it's just doing it at a faster pace than we're prepared for. A lot of people, I guess the word of the day that we've been using in the innovation space is pivot, right? Because a lot of
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, and so be comfortable with that. Just being comfortable being uncomfortable, I guess, is the best way I would sum up the advice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's excellent. Well, I appreciate you being here with me today. Thank you so much. Tell everyone how they can connect with you if they're looking for, you know, the professional services that you offer through Incuvate.
Sure, you can look at my website, www.incuvate.com, or you know, I'm on LinkedIn. That's the best probably social media platform for me to reach me at right now until I get my social media game straight. And just very email mark@incuvate.com, and I'm happy to talk about this stuff, tools and techniques. So thank you for having me, and I think this is
Excellent.
great.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, thank you for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. If you're seeing this either via YouTube or my Facebook page, please like or comment and feel free to share this information as well. As has been said on all media channels and everything you see, we're all in this together. So definitely take some of these tips and tricks and advice, use that, share it with others that you think may need that assistance and that information. That's what the whole point of these webinars or these recordings are, is to really just kind of disseminate information to folks so that they know they're not alone in this game. Outside of the pandemic we're dealing with, you know, small businesses and entrepreneurs just need to stick together and collaborate with one another. We have a much larger impact when we work with one another. So I encourage you to share. If you are in the space where you are looking for assistance with HR communications or HR strategy, particularly around leave laws and things like that as it relates to COVID-19, certainly reach out to me here on the Facebook page, on YouTube. You can also catch up with me through social media. HRPro, the number 4YOU is where you can find me. And I thank you for tuning in. Take care. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks. See ya.